Here's my condensed guide to the first chunk of Final Fantasies.
Okay.
If you buy the like remakes or whatever, Final Fantasy 1 through 4 are each about 8 hours long.
Oh my God.
Final Fantasy 5 is probably like 20 plus, and then Final Fantasy 6 is also 20 plus. And if you want them to be even shorter, you can like hit a button to turn off random encounters. You can hit a thing to like double XP or double gold. So like when you're in an area where like fighting stinks and you're better than all the monsters, you get to save 8 minutes of your time by just walking through that section without fighting.
I was wondering, I was like, my memory of Final Fantasies 1, 2, and 3 is mind-numbing, infinite expanse of time. The idea of, oh, you could speed things up or go to like empower your characters or whatever, I think would make...
Yeah. And I would say like you skip parts whenever you feel bored. You turn off encounters or you turn up XP or whatever.
Sure.
You go through like a whole dungeon and just fight the boss and see like, well, did I have what it takes to like skip the class and just take the final?
Right.
Like we are kind of opting into how much content do you want to consume?
Yeah.
Good video game innovation. Good work, designers.
I've been playing through Final Fantasy X, a game very near and dear to my heart, streaming it for my girlfriend who's never experienced it before. Once we've seen every enemy, give or take, in an area once, or like if we're in between a plot thing, I will go on no encounters.
Love it.
And then like behind the scenes, I'm trying to get our characters just barely good enough on level. But I also know like, I know what's happening in any of the bosses, so you can kind of work around the things that would normally surprise you.
The ability to like remix the games to make them like a little briefer, a little more of a tour rather than a grind.
And speaking of remixing the content, the designers in the Beacon of Creation Discord have turned up the job points in the most recent You Make the Pack.
Welcome to Beacon of Creation, a weekly podcast on game design through the lens of Magic the Gathering. I'm Tim.
I'm Juliet.
And I'm Peter.
We had another one of the You Make the Pack events run in the Discord recently. This is like a cool thing where one at a time, the whole community gets together to like make one card, then another card, then another card until they have a whole pack of 14 or 15, or depending on tokens, cards in a pack. This one was a little bit different. And because of that, MDub, you said, hey, don't read all these cards. At the end of the process, we'll make you try to understand what's going on.
Yeah, I think you understand the base level concept of this is you make the story pack. And so the goal is kind of like, I forget the exact set. I think it was Invasion or that like Weatherlight Saga in Magic where the story was completely told via the cards. So that was the goal with this pack. Okay, can we tell one cohesive story across 14, 15 Magic the Gathering cards?
And so we're going to be talking through these cards. This is going to be a little bit less of a deep dive than we sometimes do on cards where we might spend, 5 minutes per card. We'll probably go a little bit faster, I'm thinking. Get through all 15 and then try to piece together the order, piece together the story.
I know the first card. I think. That's about as much as I know.
For clarity's sake, Tim, you're trying to piece together the cards not in the order that they were necessarily submitted, but the order of the story. Is that right?
Oh, is that right? Those not the same thing?
It's up to you. They may be the same thing. This could be a red herring. I could be totally tricking you. They might be the exact same thing.
This process wasn't complicated enough, I see.
So, Peter, what's the first card that we should look at?
Our first card, if we're cracking this metaphorical pack, is Marshaled Forces. 2 white for a sorcery. Create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens, and it has Escape 3 white. Exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its escape cost. And the flavor text is going to be important on all of these. We knew Su Yin would lead us right to it. Commander Li Chang.
It's 3 mana instead of 2 mana to get 2 1/1s, but I can escape it.
Mm-hmm.
Pay 5 mana and escape, so I might be able to do a second, maybe third time in a limited game to get a couple more troops. But the main reason we're here is to figure out, like, what is this set? Marshaled forces. We've got a cool general in front of a bunch of soldiers. And then we've got the Su Yin would lead us right to it, and Commander Li Chang. That doesn't feel that early in the story. That feels like, the heroes have already done something, naively, and now the evil, I'm just guessing, Commander Li Chang is going to seize on that. I played a lot of Final Fantasy lately. They always let the heroes collect all the crystals and then beat them up and take them and summon the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whether or not this character is evil, they at least have that like imperial sort of air to it, which I think is a good stand-in for that.
They could be the general that's being manipulated by the real bad guy.
Mm-hmm. And that general is actually being controlled by like God, but like evil. I feel like that's more the Final Fantasy vibe.
All right, the next card here is Legacy Passed On. 1 red white for an uncommon instant. Discard your hand, then return up to 1 card of each type from your graveyard to your hand. He was history's greatest villain, according to the Triumvirate. A title I wish to erase using what he left behind.
Okay.
He was history's greatest villain. A title I wish to erase using what he left behind. So this was like a accidentally disgraced or intentionally disgraced person who was actually a hero, but the Triumvirate doesn't want us to know. This is what I'm talking about. We got the person from the last card was actually a good guy, something like that.
Mm-hmm. And is the Triumvirate like leading this Imperial with like soldiers and everything?
Mm-hmm.
What did he leave behind?
An artifact, an enchantment, a battle, a planeswalker, a land.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. A lot of questions on this card, for sure.
Yeah. I like that. Did you randomize these, or did you mix them in a way to maximize the confusion?
No, random number generator. We took it back and then we shuffled it up because we're gods of chaos, and
yeah. All right.
Then revealed them.
So we either got the most crucial clue or we're being deceived.
And so white can return, roughly speaking, artifact enchantment and some amount of creature, enough creature that it would just hand wave. Yeah. And also like, sometimes lands and other permanents if you're doing like brought back sort of stuff, but most of the time that. Red could bring back instants or sorceries in a sort of anarchist style way. And then we kind of loop in the planeswalkers, battles, and lands because we are like discarding our hand in the process. That kind of like opens us up in that way.
I can see white doing planeswalkers. They have sometimes like cares about planeswalker stuff or whatever.
Sure.
Our next card is actually the pack art. So you get art here of Minotaur with this like flaming effigy kind of thing behind them, and then you'll get the title of the set and the subtitle. So the pack is named Januvastra, Weight of the Mantle.
Januvastra, Weight of the Mantle. So yeah, I guess that's kind of accentuating that there was this person who had to do something that they were then later blamed for a bunch of atrocities or whatever, but it actually secretly saved everyone, and then the story is maybe like clearing their name.
Januvastra.
All right. And our next card, Passionate Affray. This is an instant common for 1 in a red. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. If it isn't your turn, it also gains first strike until end of turn. And our flavor text, seeing the rage festering in the Minotaur's eyes, the market guardsman acted fast to eliminate the threat. Su Yin did not hesitate to protect her friend.
We've now connected together Su Yin, who is talked about but may or may not be shown in Marshaled Forces. That we don't know. And then the Minotaur shown in the pack art. So we have the Minotaur and Su Yin both mentioned in the flavor text here. So we've connected those two threads somehow Suyin's friend is probably the Minotaur, unless Suyin's friend was also in the market and we're supposed to just know that from context. Suyin has a little
Yeah.
fibblethip homunculus friend who's extremely who has zero point 0.1 toughness or whatever. And
Yeah. It would seem that the market guardsman is not Suyin's friend, but that
right.
the Minotaur is Suyin's friend. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
Suyin is the kind of naive hero, perhaps, that led some commander to do something or something like that. And that's the most of it that we've got so far. This is an interesting trick, too, because this is like offensive trample, defensive first strike, which is like a fun mixture.
It's kind of a funny twist to have the first strike only on other turns.
Yeah.
I'm so used to
Yeah.
first strike only on your turn. So this does, quote, like, do what you would want it to do. I think in a lot of the cases, it's
Yeah.
interesting when something
Yeah.
changes. It's vigilance on your turn, reach on the other turn, because it's like, oh yeah, I don't need the one on the other. This
Yeah.
sometimes you might want it, but a lot of times I think you can play this to your advantage.
Yeah. Like once in a while, maybe you'd want it on a first strike on attack or whatever, but trample on attack is what you'd usually prefer. And first strike, you can go either way on, but is probably the most surprising on defense.
Mhm.
All right, we're just ripping through these. What's the next one?
Next, we have a legendary creature, Zai, third of the Triumvirate. 2 blue black for a 2/4. Legendary creature, human noble. Whenever you cast your first non-creature spell each turn, draw a card, then discard a card. If you discarded an instant or sorcery card this way, exile it. That card becomes plotted.
Hmm.
The mantle came to us. We cannot refuse it. You would give it to the people, Lee?
Oh, okay. There's some details here. So the mantle is capital M mantle. And so Lee, that was the general, right? Lee, what was it? Lee Chang.
Chang? Yeah.
Lee has this like magical artifact that they got somehow. Oh, by tricking Suyin. And then brings it to the Triumvirate. The Triumvirate says, no, we actually want it. We don't want to let the people have it. So we're going to frame you and I guess keep the mail for ourselves.
Was I've been watching the Lord of the Rings movies
Okay.
lately and kind of experiencing them wide-eyed, and this feels a little bit like Saruman. When again, was like, "Oh no, there's this danger," and it's like, yeah, I know about the danger. I've become obsessed with it, and it will be my best friend. I am also I've lately been really playing around with cards being plotted without the like having plot as a sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fun way to do this sort of like this is just card advantage effectively, but like that's fun.
Yeah. I think one of the main plot related cards is Aven Interrupter, which is like the white spell that flashes in, exile a spell, become, and then makes it cost 2 more. So it's like this white delay spell.
Mhm.
That was like a cannon card. That was a Thunder Junction card. But yeah, more ways of using plotted. This card feels quite good. I mean, that's not the main point of this episode, but
Mhm.
I cast a non-creature spell that if I can discard a different card, a different instant or sorcery, I get to free cast it next turn. So I go up by quite a bit potentially.
Makes me think of Spellweaver Helix, I think is
Oh, okay. Yeah.
the card.
Yeah.
A 3 mana rare artifact from Mirrodin that when you cast or when it enters, you imprint 2 sorcery cards. And whenever you play one of those, you can copy and cast the other for free. And so
Yeah.
similar to that, I think CA probably wants you to be playing like cruel ultimatums, or I mean
Yeah.
any ultimatum you like, and 1 mana like cantrip
Yeah.
sort of cards,
Yeah.
instants especially, so that you can just every turn being like,
Ooh.
here I'm going to opt
Eh,
plotting a cruel ultimatum, and then you kill my CA third of the triumvirate, and then I'm going to cash the cruel ultimatum on my next turn, and then be ready to opt again. And
Yeah. All right, yeah, and we've got like escape so far. We've got some other graveyard matters, a combat trick, and then this plotted thing.
oh
Mhm.
So
yeah,
Yeah, do you feel like you're getting any clue? Are the mechanics introduced so far giving you any clues to what's going on with this set?
Mm. Yeah, I feel like the flavor text is pulling just as much work as the plotted part. Like, oh, a conniving guy who we already know is a bad guy. Cool.
I do feel like maybe we have like throwing things away as a theme here, both as something like we're discarding and then into plot. You're discarding and then gathering the things back up in Legacy passed on. You're potentially discarding and then using stuff, using the graveyard as that resource for marshaled forces. Whether you're like, how just put that in the graveyard and like, yeah, I don't care. There's gonna be something about like digging deep, whatever the setting or the story is gonna have some extra tones of tapping into whatever this extra power is. Maybe this is the mantle is the One Ring, but is like graveyard focused rather than drawing cards focused.
Next card, Bolstered Friendship, a 1 and a white for a common sorcery. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. You gain 2 life. You never told me about your father. You never asked. Ultigar frowned, then sighed. Well, will you tell me about him now?
Huh.
In the art, we have like a Minotaur person and like a lady swordsman. You never told me about your father. You never asked. And then Ortulgar frowned, then sighed. Which makes me think, you never told me about your father. You never asked. So Ortulgar has a father who is famous, and they never told the swordsman who was maybe Suyin.
It is interesting because the Ortulgar frowned, then sighed. Then, like, well, will you like a lot of times we go then sighed and then asking, like that's the person who's being the agent asking. But I think it's more connected to the you never asked and then this beat. And then waiting for Ortulgar to finish and saying, well, will you tell this is an assumption. I feel like Tim, do you have vibes for which of these two is Ortulgar? I feel like that's kind of a Minotaur-ish name.
It would be some real boundary pushing things to name like a cool lady swordsman Ortulgar. Not to say that you can't name your femme swordsman Ortulgar, but
just if you have that next to a Minotaur, like we're going to use context clues to try to.
Yeah. And it's possible that like both of their fathers were cool or something like that, but yeah.
I like to think everyone has a kind of cool dad somewhere in their life.
Somewhere in their life, at least.
A retired berserker warrior and now a merchant.
Yeah, just any father figure might be kind of cool.
Julia's favorite cool father is Jecht, so.
Anyways, this is very like marketplace art, which makes me tie to the market guardsman in the Minotaur. And so we could use from context clues if something continues happening through this and everything, that if the Minotaur is Ortulgar and is the friend of this other lady swordsman, she could be Suyin, who does nothing, who doesn't hesitate to protect Ortulgar.
Ortulgar got heated for some reason. And this is such a hard name to say over and over. But Ortulgar
got to put the red base spin on it.
Yeah.
Like a transformer transforming.
Yeah. I need to pump up the bass when you pronounce a Minotaur name. Yeah, Ortulgar got heated for some reason. Everyone in the market started panicking. The guard looked to attack Ortulgar, and Suyin said, nope. He's just reminiscing about the time his dad or his dad's friend got wrongly accused of some crimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully Ultigar, the name doesn't come up anymore in the pack. I'm sure it won't.
I'm excited for this next card because it looks like it's a double-faced card.
Ooh, twice as much lore.
All right. We have Siege of the Pines.
Siege of the Pines.
Red and a white for a battle siege with 7 defense counters. When this battle enters, it deals 3 damage to up to 1 target creature, and you gain 3 life when you Defeat it, it transforms into Corrupted Woods, an enchantment. Whenever a non-zombie creature an opponent controls dies, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a black zombie instead of its other colors and types. The Corrupted Woods has the flavor text: the mantle had been locked away for too long. The power within ached to be released. Before Commander Chang could even speak her command, the entire forest twisted around her.
Siege of the Pines. So we got like a little army attacking a forest or attacking someone else in a forest. And then on the inside there, those Corrupted Woods. The mantle had been locked away for too long. The power, so there's like the capital M mantle is buried in these woods. But when they got there, Commander Chang couldn't get to the mantle, seemingly, or maybe got attacked before they could even understand what was going on. Got attacked again? Maybe some people were protecting the woods, they defeated those people, and then they went further in, and then the forest defended itself. It looks like there's like a ghostly character in the middle of the woods. It's kind of faint.
Who maybe has horns?
Yeah.
Interesting. How do we feel about the backside of this card kind of being like both black in color identity and entirely in vibes and maybe question mark mechanics? This is whenever non-zombie creature an opponent controls dies, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a black zombie instead of its other colors and types. And the front side of this card is red and a white for, I mean, it's for a battle, but it's like for a sorcery speed things. There's never any black mana coming in. This feels very Evil Boros Charm, I think is the name of the playtest booster card, where the idea is like Lightning Helix can be red and white or mono black. But I don't, it's an extra stretch for me to see, well, wait a minute, if the backside of this card is black, why not just have the front side of this card be black?
I don't know. Maybe the lore was too important, and that's why it was voted in. That's part of the process of you make the pack here. It's like you don't always get the perfect card. Sometimes you just got to vote for the one that advances the overall pack the most.
Also, is there like, I mean, this is a story card, but now I'm like, okay, is there a cycle of 5 battles all with a black backside? Is there a cycle of 10 battles? Or is there like, are there 2 opposite color? Like, are there 2 wedge based things for each color where you're like flipping it into a different, I don't know. There's, this
The rest of the pack is just all battles. It's going to be a lot of reading here on out.
Yeah. But we, as far as stuff goes, we see that much like the One Ring or Magic's OG, the One Ring, the Mirari, there's both a drive for people to want to seize and claim it, and that this thing itself kind of is exuding that. What is it? The Crunchini-Bon?
Oh, yeah. There we go. Crystal Shard style. All right. Yeah. This is maybe right after the like Su Yin led us straight to it card because they led it straight to it, and then Chang tried to seize it. Ran into some problems, but
yeah, I think that also explains why the siege is happening. Why is like an army here? It's like, oh, because of the marshaled forces, because Su Yin led us to it.
I wonder if there was also some sort of meme while making this pack of red and white, and then they're like, there's no way we're going to vote for a red-white mythic that has a black backside. I'm just going to put this up there just to show like how biased towards red and white we are. And it still won the vote against all odds.
Him going deep into the pack politics.
You make the politics.
You make the politics. Yeah.
I've seen how those threads run. I stayed out of this thread by request, but once you're 11 out of 15 cards in and there's not been a blue card or whatever, people are like, we're only voting for blue cards. Stop submitting other things. People want to make a perfect pack.
I think it was Gwemhill Pack 1 where we were 8 or 9 cards deep and it's like, oh, 8 of these cards are 2-drops. That was just like we filled up the 3 uncommons with like all 2-drop uncommons. So like, okay, well, now we do need to design things that aren't 2-drop uncommons, even though in a vacuum, that's kind of the perfect card to introduce to a pack.
All right, let's get a new card.
Next up is Consecrative Stell. It's a land. This land enters tapped unless you cast a spell this turn. Tap, add red or green. Flavor text, all previous wielders demanded of the mantle authority over all. Ortilgar made a modest request. Then he vanished.
Then he vanished. It. Could this be Ortilgar 1 or could there be 2?
Ooh, Ortilgar Senior and Junior, you think?
Or maybe, okay, Ortilgar told the story to Suyin. Suyin went and looked for the thing. Li Cheng followed her there. The battle happened. Mantle comes back. Then Ortilgar comes back in, or maybe this sacrifice is happening. I don't know. There's going to be. I'm trying to piece the place of this, and I think the card's mechanics tie into the slight confusion over timeline that I'm having right now. With a land that enters tapped unless you cast a spell this turn, which is interesting. It is very much a sequencing land.
Yeah.
And I think that's novel design space and design space that I don't think is good. But this is just me still being very burnt. I talk about this all the time whenever we talk about Castmire. But whenever lands make it difficult to sequence plays, and then you have to like think about your plays not just with your spells, but like lands being tricky to sequence, that's like such a spiky thing that I think it's easy to forget how much that can make new players or players who just don't want to be spending 1,000% of their energy playing their lands. It can really stop them from being able to have fun playing a given format or set or engagement.
That's a deep philosophical question with the You Make the Story pack is, should it cater 100% to the Vorthos, or does it need some Mel love, and so we got to put some complex interactions within the set, the pack.
There you go. Yeah, this is maybe an example like the last kind of secret black card, where it's like the lore is the strength, but that's the part we have to hit. And then the mechanics being perfect is a little less, because a lot of the You Make the packs, it just like voted on the like most well-designed card. Like I would say that's the like trend. Whereas here, maybe that priority is a little different.
Yeah. I am always interested, despite everything I've just said. I do think this is made 100% for Vorthos, like Magic cards as medium for storytelling does remain an interesting thing. So I need to know whether or not to like throw the switch for the analysis of how would this impact limited play for novice players.
Yeah. Our brains are kind of wired to each other to hear like once the analysis starts, let's deep dive, and then we gotta pull ourselves back out of the hole today, so we can order these cards.
Ooh.
The next card is Destiny Deferred. It's an instant for 1 and hybrid white-blue at common. Exile target creature or spell. Return the exiled card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Su Yun reached for the mantle. She could set everything right, fix what her father started. She saw it all so clearly. Then she felt a sharp tug behind her navel, and as she was whisked away, she saw nothing at all.
Wow.
Okay. Su Yin's father is either the father or like the father of destiny, the important father, or there are multiple important fathers. I think both things are.
Maybe we're in Ject mode where there's like Ortilgar's dad and Su Yin's dad adventured together and faced sin or whatever.
Quote, adventured together, unquote.
Yeah. They were roommates. Okay, so Su Yin actually glimpses the mantle. Like the mantle's in front of her. Could set everything right, saw it all clearly, And then that was denied, maybe by Li Chang, or maybe this is at a slightly different part in the story.
Just looking at this, okay, she felt a sharp tug behind her navel as she was whisked away. She saw nothing at all. Is it possible? I mean, she could have been moved in space. Could she have been moved in time? Could Su Yin's journey here, we're like seeing her in kind of the present and also like the ancient past or one generation ago, or she was in the past and now she's in the present, a generation in the future because she failed at this thing. The idea of being like, hey, you never told me about your father, you never asked, and be like, yeah, actually I did know him. And I want to hear how you feel before I reveal that, like, I don't know, I'm your surrogate aunt, sort of.
All right.
Our next card is Ultagar the Burdened.
Wow.
Black, red, green, and white for legendary planeswalker Ultagar with loyalty 5. When Ultagar enters, choose an opponent. During that player's turn, creatures that player controls attack Ultagar if able. +1, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. 0, Ultagar deals 4 damage to target creature. That creature deals damage equal to its power to him. -8, choose a creature type. Destroy all creatures that aren't the chosen type.
Ortegal the Burdened. It looks pretty Minotaur-y. There's like a crazy helmet, but also maybe some front horns.
Mm-hmm. Okay, can I introduce a weird theory? Probably isn't right. Is the two Suyin and the Minotaur in the marketplace are talking. You never told me about your father. You never asked. And then Ortilgar, the father, who is off screen and watching this through some like scrying thing built into the weird mantle, like time portal stuff, frowns and then sighs. And then we cut back into like the scrying pool, seeing, well, will you tell me about him now? Or, however that goes.
Yeah.
Ortilgar is witnessing this as a witness would.
Or Ortilgar starts to tell Suyin about his dad. Suyin's like, we should go get that mantle. The two of them go to go get it. Suyin gets hijacked by the blue spell. So Ortilgar has to grab the mantle to prevent the Triumvirate from getting it back or something.
Sure. And then drawing the ire of whoever, like, hey, you have to attack me, the Minotaur Planeswalker, not anyone else. And here's a zombie. We can connect that to the zombies that we saw with the mantle with the Battle of the Pines.
Yep.
Can just trade blows. And also there's this power to destroy anything that isn't like whatever the one thing is.
It's kind of Plague Windy kind of thing. This is like original Gideon Jura, but all the time as well, which is kind of sick. Like original Gideon was a +2. Everybody's got to attack me next turn. And this is like, no, all your stuff has to attack me all the time, no matter what, which is pretty cool.
As far as a mythic goes, I mean, this is a fun story thing that is, without flavor text, it's still able to convey a decent amount that might fit in once we see the whole story.
Yeah, it's like a red-white card that deals damage to a creature and also flips into a thing that makes zombies, which is really lined up with that siege.
You can imagine the planar chaos thing where it's like Su Yin, the Burdened, and it's like black, red, blue, white instead. And see her with a cool mask with Minotaur horns on it.
All right, give us a new card.
Our next card, speaking of zombies, Seeker of Absolution. 1 and a black for a 3/1. Creature, Zombie Minotaur. Escape, 2 black. Exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its escape cost. Ortilgar glared at Suyin incredulously. Your father was the 4th of 3, the one who destroyed my people, condemned them to this unlife? She turned away in shame. You see now why I never told you about him.
Oh, Okay, so this is outlining a little more clearly than our white card. We got a lot going on. It's got regular escape, so that, like, mechanic-wise, this is just an escape zombie who's also a Minotaur. But yeah, then we got a whole bunch of lore here.
Your father was fourth of 3. Love a fourth of 3. That's great.
Typical English major saying, "Get out of here, math."
Okay, as an aside, there is nothing funnier in the English language than when the number is wrong. When there's like
Oh.
a set of thing and then like haha and then the number is wrong.
Hmm.
51 is my favorite prime number.
Oh. Is it not a prime, like 17 or whatever goes into
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, the fourth of 3. Oh yeah, that's great. Of course there's going to be a fourth of 3. You got your
Hmm.
Sith, rule of 2, except there's always like competing 2s.
So this makes it seemingly more clear that it's Suyin's dad that Suyin never told Ortolgar about, which I feel like
Mhm.
I was still kind of confused about. But it's Suyin's dad who was the untold story. And
Mhm.
then somehow the two of them go on an adventure. It feels like they run into these seekers of absolution like while looking for the mantle. It doesn't feel like this happened at the marketplace.
Yeah, what a wild name for this art and this like
Yeah.
creature type. Seeker of Absolution is a very like kind of partially decayed feral sort of looking zombie
Yeah.
minotaur, I would say.
They've been at it for so long. They've been looking for absolution so long. Their bodies rotted away. Yeah.
They'll soon be a skeleton minotaur instead of a zombie minotaur.
Oh, if
This
MDub
way.
had his way.
Yeah. Ooh, that'll be the day.
I wonder if trying to think about, oh, you never told me about him and everything. Is this card right before he was history's greatest villain, according to the triumvirate, a title I wish to erase using what he left behind?
Okay. Yeah, maybe. Suyin opens up to Ortolgar, explains, hey, or people say my dad was like the worst criminal ever.
Mhm.
And then Ortolgar freaks out. The market tries to stop him. And then she says, but, I think it's not true. Would you go on an adventure with me to clear my dad's name? They go on that adventure.
Ah.
The Empire gets involved. Suyin is yanked away. Ortolgar's like, well, I'm not letting the Triumvirate have it. Puts the mantle on, becomes like an all-powerful kind of monster. And then something happens. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see that
All
next
right.
card.
Sorry, I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that 51 isn't a prime number.
Yeah. The easy way to remember that 51 isn't a prime number is that 5 plus 1 equals 6.
Hell yeah.
People always laugh at this, but like, yeah, 5 plus 1 equals 6. And if a number is divisible by 6, or if the digits together
Yeah.
like equal a number divisible by 6, then it can't be prime.
Because it's divisible by 3, right? Is that the rule?
Mhm.
I don't know
And
why 17 was more obvious to me than the more common is it divisible by 3 rule, but
I think both are
I'll see to
reasonable.
Juliet on this one. That was the better way
if you
to get
add
that.
1 and 7, that equals 8. And I'm sure that does something too, right?
Well, and that's even. So
There we go. So it's divisible by 2. All right, I
we
figured it
should
out.
we should move on before we.
This is the humor that slays in Juliet's crowd, though. Just stating wrong things about numbers.
Yeah, the reason 17 isn't prime is because it's even. Our next
It's
card
working.
is
This material is killing you. All right, MDub, give us a new card before Juliet literally dies at the number 17.
Next is Ancestral Guardian. 5 and blue for a 4/4 creature spirit. This spell costs 3 less to cast if you have cast another spell this turn. And it has flying. Your father knew. The mantle must have a bearer. Why do you hesitate? Tyrus, Warden of the World.
Now that's a title. Warden of the World. That's like the Watcher level, you know, like
A lot of responsibility.
You cast another spell, then you play your dual land that comes in untapped that taps
Yeah.
for blue, and your opponent goes, "Wow, I never saw this coming," and then you cast Ancestral Guardian, and then you have a 4/4 flyer.
All right. So is an Ancestral Guardian directly related to this flavor text? What do we think? Is Tyrus one of the guardians?
Maybe like a spirit guarding this like important ancient artifact thing. Like that's sure. Weird eternal spirits guarding weird ancient artifacts. I think
Yeah,
that's a
yeah, yeah.
pretty standard thing. Tyrus could be one of these, or Tyrus could be like commanding the guardians. Maybe the mantle is like the strongest, but it's not the only. Like the One Ring,
Hmm.
there's a lot of other rings of power.
Mm,
This is just like the one. So maybe there's a lot of ancestral guardians and a lot of weird corrupted forests or tombs or whatever. And
Hmm.
yeah.
It could be like a three-way confrontation. The guardians, the two heroes, Ortlegar and Suyin, are fighting the guardians off to try to get to the mantle. But Tyrus, who's a third faction, who's a triumvirate guy or whatever, is also there, trying to steal the mantle, and that's how Suyin gets yanked.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe our next card will help. Whispering Pines Regent. 3 green for a 4/4 creature elf scout. Whenever a creature you control enters, if that creature has lesser power or toughness than this creature, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. Deep in the wilderness of Januvastra, defending the shrine which imprisons the vile artifact, these appointed figures ensure the mantle is never used for such devastation again.
This is like wrapping up much more clearly than I ever suspected this challenge would. I don't know why. Did I not have enough faith? These all just feel so well connected.
So is Tyrus an elf? Warden of the World feels like, I'm still thinking Final Fantasy stuff. Like, oh, we have to go to the World Tree, and like, yeah, here's Tyrus, Warden of the World. He's, Elrond. He's been around for thousands of years. Somehow, no one's ever talked to him. Defending the shrine which imprisons the vile artifact. These appointed figures. Who are they appointed by? Ensure the mantle is never used for such devastation again.
Warden of the World.
Sure. Interesting to get a 4/4 followed by a 4/4 that cares about creatures being smaller than 4/4.
Yeah, different decks. Yeah. Kind of like an instant mentor. Like when the creature enters, it gets mentored by this regent. We got 2 left.
Wow.
Right? Hopefully you still have some questions in mind, some things you're thinking about, some things you're confused on, and hopefully these clear it up. Next is Heavy Are the Crowns. 2 green for an enchantment. When this enchantment enters, mill 3 cards. Paradox. At the beginning of your end step, if you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand this turn, draw a card. With the power of the mantle, the triumvirate could rewrite history as they pleased, ushering Januvastra towards their vision of a golden age.
This is creepy art as well.
Yeah.
The mantle is maybe some sort of crown or headpiece, and it's a creepy. Yeah.
This is not what I expect from a green card. But we can focus on the flavor
Like
rather
flavor
than
wise, you mean? Or
just the art is a little bit creepy. I feel like there's a combination of things here. Like you can have nobles and people with crowns in green, like for sure. But when this enchantment enters, mill 3 cards, and then if you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand this turn, draw a card. This as a draw engine feels funky to me in green. I mean, I'm not against green card advantage.
yeah.
I typically think of it as being very like creature focused.
Yeah. There's like stuff leaving your graveyard rewards in Dragonstorm and stuff like that. But this card is sort of like I don't know if it's a crept version, but it's definitely an alt version of Secrets of the Dead, which is like the partner to Burning Vengeance, the famous like Innistrad. Whenever you flashback, shock something. The Secrets of the Dead, whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard, draw a card. That's sort of not exactly what Heavy Are the Crowns is, but yeah, this was pretty much a blue card before.
Did we have a green? No, the blue-black card was the plot card.
Yep.
The green thing we've gotten is just a land.
Yeah, so this works with escape, which we've seen, or plot, which we've seen.
Both of which also tie into, in different ways, untapping the land or discounting the Ancestral Guardian. I think plot, especially, you don't want to play. I mean, you probably want to play a lot of non-creatures in that Xie sort of plot deck. But if you can plot basically any spell and then cast it, you still have your lands untapped for your Ancestral Guardian then to be discounted.
All right, yeah. Heavy are the crowns. With the power of the mantle, Triumvirate could rewrite history, blah, blah, blah. Golden Age, blah, blah, blah. All right, so if the Triumvirate gets the mantle, things are bad. So Suyin's dad found the mantle, brought it to one of the Triumvirate people. The Triumvirate people were like, we want to rewrite history and make our version of a Golden Age. And the dad said, nope, that's too evil. I'm going to bury it in a forest and appoint a bunch of guardians.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And our last card here of the pack, Raise the Countryside. 2 red for a sorcery. Choose 1. Raise the Countryside deals 2 damage to each creature. Destroy target artifact. My village was burned to the ground for dissension. I was the one that lit the torch. Lee, 4th of 3, Memoirs.
Okay. So Lee is Suyin's dad, I guess, then?
Oh. Huh.
Because the first flavor we read was we knew Suyin would lead us right to it, Commander Li Chang.
But Lee is also the 4th of 3.
Yeah.
Was
The 4th of 3.
previously in the military?
Or Suyin was like a little kid and used little kid pluck to stumble upon the location of the mantle.
Oh, because she had a destiny and she had like touched it at one point in time when she was like 4 or whatever, and now she's 13 and she's going off to
I gotta redeem my dad, who was
Mm-hmm.
named like secret supervillain.
On its own, 4th of 3 memoirs, I'm like, oh, this person got to live long enough to write their memoirs. I thought they probably got sacrificed to some sort of thing. But the like, oh no, the political compromises I was making led to disastrous real world consequences. That's a staple of a lot of the fiction that I read and enjoy.
Hell yeah.
This isn't a space opera, but that's the sort of stuff that makes like space opera, I think, work pretty well. Or this sort of political machination sort of story.
I guess Lee could be in like underground in the pine forest, basically like Lich King style. Hey, I'm going to seclude myself with this power on my head so that no one else gets it. At least the other 3 Triumvirate won't get it. I wanted to give the power away, but they said no. So I'm going to disappear. The Triumvirate's going to paint me as a villain and say, hey, we got to get this thing that he stole. So everyone's looking for the crown, the mantle. And meanwhile, Lee is like in solitude, like writing in his journal, like his life story.
I think I am still on it in a different way. There's some time travel stuff going on. Some like legacy generation things. Maybe Lee's got some weird, like Bilbo has just like wild longevity because he was adjacent to the ring for a while. Lee's got something like that going on. And Lee denied the Triumvirate something, but then like a lot of people got hurt and cost, and there's like the necromancer stuff that happened originally. And Suyin is from that time, but she got like time skipped quite a bit into the future. But the thing is, Lee is still alive, just like extremely old. So maybe we have Madara Uchiha sort of like nobody thought this guy would still be alive until Suyin in this like present future, like this skipped forward sort of stuff. Like, wait, your father was that guy? Oh yeah, he did all of that stuff to all of those people, that long time ago. And now Suyin shows up and is like, okay, we have to go get the mantle to solve this problem or to redeem him. And as she gets there in the present, that opens up the thing. So now Lee's able to find it, and so is the Empire. Later on, then there's the battle, and then Ortolgar puts it on. This is long-winded, but I'm trying to pitch 15 cards together. So
I guess there could be multiple Lees. Lee could be like a family name. Like it could be Suyin Lee or whatever. And then so older Lee, like grandpa. No, that wouldn't make as much sense.
There's a mystery here. Okay, so we have father mentioned multiple times and Lee mentioned multiple times. And the connecting thing we have that is Seeker of Absolution, who Ortolgar glared at Suyin incredulously. Your father was the fourth of three? The one who destroyed my people, condemned him to his unlife. She turned away and shame. You see, now I never told you about him. So that connects the fourth of three, and then raised the countryside, my village, burned to the ground for dissension. I was the one that lit the torch. Lee, fourth of three memoirs. Connects to all of the other Lees, like we see in She a Third of the Triumvirate, saying you would give it to the people. Is there another Lee? Oh, Commander Li Shang. We knew Suyin would lead us right to it.
It could be Li Chang, Li Suyin are like siblings, and their dad was the fourth of three.
Sure.
And then the evil or eviler Li Chang followed Suyin when Suyin tried to uncover the real story behind the dad.
Yeah.
And then so all three of them are Li.
Yeah. And then so She a Third of the Triumvirate could be saying this at multiple different points to Li the fourth, and also if Commander Li Chang at some point gets it, this could be a thing that is can work in multiple cases.
So are we gonna try to make a guess list of what we think? So we're trying to make the order of the story or the order the cards are made. What's our objective, Peter?
I'll spoil it for you and say that the order of the story and the order of the cards is the same.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If you go for order of the cards, the story was told. That is the way that the story was intended to be told.
Okay.
Okay. Can I ask, because I also think this will help for our ordering, and you can say no comment to this. Is there cross generations sort of time travel?
It is non-linear storytelling in the sense that it goes back and forth through time.
Okay. Do the characters time travel themselves?
Yeah.
Does Suyin go in
No. Suyin does not go back and forth through time.
Great. That answers the question.
I feel like the weight of the mantle, like the pack art and the Ortolgar Planeswalker, are at the very end.
Great.
And so there's a couple events that happen right before that. Suyin getting whisked away, Destiny Deferred, and then is also around the Ancestral Guardian conversation. They're all looking at the mantle. So those two feel like they're also near the end.
Okay.
I don't know if it's because we read them pretty early, but the package of, hey, you never told me about your dad, and I got mad when I heard about your dad, and I wish to redeem my dad's legacy. That feels kind of like an earliest chunk to me.
Yeah. Okay. Then Seeker of Absolution?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually, that feels in that package, too. I guess the only thing that made me hesitate on the Seeker is that the Seeker also feels like it would be at where the mantle is. Here's zombies that have been waiting around in the evil crypt. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too video game. But, bolstered friendship, I start telling the story. The story includes Minotaur genocide. The living Minotaur freaks out. That is heavy, but
And so then we go from he was history's greatest villain, according to the triumvirate, a title I wish to erase using what he left behind.
Yeah.
So going from there, cards about we've already gotten some of the villainy. I don't think we're jumping the siege there. We could go to third. So we had fourth of 3 into according to the triumvirate. Great. Love it. Love working backwards there. Legacy passed on. Do we go from that into Heavy Are the Crowns? Or into Shie, third of the triumvirate?
Yeah, that's one of the pieces I'm not sure about. When is it Chie? When that card is, and when the My Diary card is,
Mm-hmm.
and Heavy Are the Crowns. Like those feel like they are a flashback. How we
Right.
learn that flashback, I don't quite know.
So what if we just put those 3 cards together, like kind of as a chunk here? Maybe it goes Raise the Countryside into third of the triumvirate into Heavier the Crowns.
Sure.
So then we're coming off of that into Janu Vastra, the triumvirate, the mantle, and towards their vision of a golden age.
And then we have Suyin and Minotaur actually looking for where it's happening. Then
Right.
marshaled forces. Then Li Cheng says, "Oh, I've been following them. We have spies following them. We know that's in the forest. Let's go to the forest." The forest has those elves there protecting it. The
Right.
Li Cheng army attacks the forest. Then there's like this mad dash in the middle of the tomb.
And then Destiny Deferred, and then like grabbing the mantle. Yes. So do we want to start there with marshaled forces then? As the
Of that chunk?
yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Marshaled forces, Whispering Pines Regent, Siege of the Pines. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So then thinking about after Siege of the Pines, after the mantle had been locked away for too long, the power within ached to be released. Before Commander Chang could even speak her command, the entire forest twisted around her.
So the heroes are being pursued by Chang.
Mm-hmm.
Chang successfully clears the way into the forest, like chasing after the players, but then, is just killed by the evil power of the mantle to raise the stakes. But the heroes are able to press on. That's when they meet a cool ancient guardian. That's when Suyin gets yanked away. Ortelgar's like, well, I can't let the triumvirate have it, so I'm going to grab it. Then there's the land that says like Ortelgar had the mantle, but Ortelgar had a modest request, then he vanished.
Yeah, all previous wielders demanded of the mantle authority over all.
Yeah.
Ortegar made a modest request, then he vanished. Maybe
Yeah.
undoing the Minotaur curse or something, but taking on a...
Feels more than
Or
a
maybe-
modest request, but otherwise, yeah.
Oh, I wonder if his modest request is Suyin gets pulled away to somewhere. She saw nothing at all. What if his modest request is like, okay, I will like bear this burden?
I'll become the Lich King. Just keep my friends safe. Yeah.
Yeah, but like the one thing I ask is first let's go save her, or like yeah, like you say, I'll become the Lich King. Keep my friends safe. I think that's a good pronouncement of it. And so then we end with the Planeswalker and question mark the pack art.
Oh, yeah, that could be true. Yeah. All right.
I like the land before the Planeswalker.
Yeah, that makes sense. But they seem like they're the two are next to each other probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we've got some kind of buckets. We've got some quartiles that then within those cards might be slightly shifted around.
And then the quartiles I think also might, like the flashback stuff might be.
Do you guys want some feedback on where you're at currently?
Sure. Yeah, let's move it along.
First off, your buckets are very good.
Premium bucket.
Yeah, very good bucket. So you have.
Are we cool just like kind of locking it in? It feels like we can just lock it in now. And if we're wrong about some
I was
stuff,
about to say like I can tell you this many are correct, but then you get into like changing orders
yeah, I don't
around,
really
and
want that. That's not a
that's going to be so
Mhm.
tedious.
yeah. Yeah, let's lock this in now. If we get some right, we get some wrong. We've said our logic at least, and it's just for fun.
And I'm just going to read them real quick here. So we've got bolstered friendship. That's that one in a white. You never told me about your father. Little sorcery. We've got seeker of absolution, the zombie minotaur, where we learn about the minotaur people being condemned to unlife. We've got passionate affray. That's the red trample first strike that we're not hesitating to protect our friend against the market guardsman. Then legacy passed on. He was history's greatest villain. That's to discard your hand, get a bunch of stuff back, trying to set history right. Then our next kind of bucket is raise the countryside. That's the fourth of three memoir. Chie, third of the triumvirate, which is the plotting your instance and sorcery's legend about not refusing the power of the thing. Heavier the crowns, the draw engine paradox enchantment that is just kind of talking about using the mantle to usher in a golden age. Jumping to the third bucket, marshaled forces, Whispering Pines Regent, Siege of the Pines. That's the raise the alarm into the green power toughness one into the battle. And then finally, Ancestral Guardian, Consecrative Steel, Destiny Deferred, and Ortogar, all kind of showing this. We zoom into what might be 20 minutes of time across 4 cards.
All right, I'm dropping the final pack into the thread we've got.
All right.
With a spoiler, but I'm gonna say I'm pretty impressed as far as just like bucketing the key narrative points, even if you aren't 100% accurate. And I'll also add, I think that the participants are going to be pretty giddy about like hearing you guys hit on some of the notes that they were thinking about as you worked through the various cards and predicted things and outlined things.
Oh, I see what our main mistake is here. So our like flashback bucket, the like raise the countryside, the diary, GA, the talking about the third, and heavy are the crowns. That's like inserted in the middle of the first bucket.
Mm-hmm.
The friends start talking about it, and then Suyin goes on a long story. For the first 7 cards, we're inside of like the marketplace conversation.
Which includes the flashback in the very middle of that. So we go 2 in the market, 3 flashback, and then 2 back in the market.
Yeah. And then we have, like we said, the battle at the forest. That package is in the right place, though. Like it's a little bit reordered. And then the stuff in the middle of the tomb, like the Guardian and Suyin being whisked away, Ordelgar taking on the crown, and then the land saying like Ordelgar had his request, and then the pack.
And Tim, you were right that the Planeswalker goes before the land.
Oh,
Yeah.
Awesome.
I also got to highlight some like of the funny things that happened while the conversation came out. The very first one being the ordering of this conversation with bolstered friendship, and like Tim instantly being like, who's saying what exactly in that sentence. There was never any confusion as far as like when we made the pack. It was always that Ultigar was the Minotaur and he was asking Suyin about her father.
Wubba-dubba-dub, is that true?
What?
Is that true? There's no disagreement about. There's no confusion.
Oh, because Juliet was there for the first card.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm just surprised. Lexical ambiguity is not a flaw or a fault. It just is a feature.
And it's also possible that like when the person who submitted Legacy Passed On submitted that card, it was kind of interesting because I feel like it really won because people thought it was a very interesting card. And as it goes on, like it becomes more and more the emphasis became on flavor. Like make sure you're getting and like it was a little bit of a challenge at first for people, I think, you have to get the world building, but you also have to leave a hook for the next person to build off of. So like the cards that were winning often had like a good story hook um, that somebody wanted to build off of, and they moved the action forward versus just like a lot of these cards ended up being cool cards, but like they were world building and people got really concerned. They're like, we have 15 cards. Like we need to make sure that the story is in motion the whole time. We can't explain every little thing. We need a lot of ambiguity.
We really felt the like comes from somewhere, leads somewhere else aspect to a lot of these flavor texts, like this sort of double hook, hook on either end aspect. And that made it more fun to try to figure out what was going on. I think if it was more world building, then it wouldn't really matter what order they're in.
Yeah. You'd get a little lost in the sauce, and it'd probably be easier just to put them in like normal pack, common, uncommon, mythic, rare order. The last thing that happened, and there was a big discussion about, was Martial Forces won, and when it won, somebody pointed out like, oh wait, Commander Li Chang isn't Li the Triumvirate, who's Suyun's dad, but the commander's supposed to be in the present, but Suyun's dad's in the past. Like, there was a lot of confusion about that. I think where everyone landed is that in the Eastern tradition, the surname is first, and then the actual name is second. So Li is the surname. That's why you have two Lees. But the quote unquote first name would be Chang in this case, and they just referred to the past Li as Li for whatever reason. I guess he was the first in his family line or whatever.
There's a little bit of Exquisite Corpse in You Make the Pact to begin with. I mean, there's also a little bit of Exquisite Corpse in the micro set project that is kind of booming right now. But this one especially kind of has a little bit of that air because it's like the double dynamic of the trying to get the best card in for the pack and the best like hooks into the past thing and gives the next hook sort of thing. You can't just be, oh, that answers the previous question. You also have to be asking the next question, and the group needing to decide on that through like submissions and voting and everything. There's something interesting to that kind of matrix of factors to try to create a somewhat linear sort of story.
Yeah. It's kind of funny looking back on this too, because, and Tim kind of clued in on it, of like people kind of determining that something is needed to make this a normal looking pack. And he actually called out the thing specifically, but he was talking about with the Siege of the Plains of like somebody was trying to make a joke about how this is so red-white coded. And so here's a red-white card that's actually a black card or whatever.
Sure.
Siege of the Pines was kind of a part of this process of like, I think it was Cord in the middle of the pack was kind of really pushing for battles. She felt like battles really made sense in the story. And so then it kind of got some traction, and so battles started sticking out. And so this battle kind of won because of the way it fit together with the story going on. And then you even called out that like, everyone decides that we're not voting for anything but a blue common. And Ancestral Guardian.
Oh, I've been through it before.
Ancestral Guardian was like the entire voting for that one was all blue common creatures.
Oh, hell yeah.
That got in, and that one's kind of neat because it really got in, I think, because of how strong the design was. Of just like, I think everyone got a little designer brained and was just like, this is just such a perfect design of like, ooh, a 4/4 or a 4 toughness, 4 power flyer that gets a little bit of cost reduction. Like, yeah, that's exactly what we want in our custom set. So I think that's why that one was turned out pretty popular.
We need a high drop, guys.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, this is a fun little puzzle. I hope this is fun to listen to as well, where we sort of like unpack the lore of something through flavor text, which is a common thing for Magic. And then if you're trying to like design cards that do have that kind of story, just how hooky it needs to be for you to have a chance of stringing it together. Like there's the Tempest Block story or whatever that has all the little pieces, but gives you no help in ordering them. You kind of have to just guess. Here, it did a pretty good job of clumping it into different events. Like we had the rough idea of like, here's the stuff that takes place in the crypt. Here's the stuff that takes place, in the battlefield. And all that was pretty effective. And I think, I don't know, would be fun to do elsewhere. Maybe in a microset.
I'm looking forward to I don't know. We're probably not going to see more from this particular. I don't know that there'll be a sequel to Gen of Astra there the way there is for Gwemhill, but maybe one day.
Yeah. All right, so that should be good for our kind of main topic. As usual, we want to tell people about all the different events they can get up to. One of them is the microsets. I feel like this is like one of the biggest explosions we've had in the Discord maybe ever, where people are just like all piling in, all getting interested. Juliet, you were involved like basically from the beginning. You want to pitch people on that a little bit if they haven't really heard of it?
Yeah, you can check out a few episodes back. We've got a few talking about individual microsets. The first episode kind of goes over all of the ones that existed at that time in kind of overview, and then into Red Bay's Vairathal. But microsets are 45 card snapshots of a kind of standard set, with the idea that you could put those two things together to do a like 90 card sealed. But as we say, when I talk about like Exquisite Corpse, this idea that I'm going to design my 45 card micro set and you're going to design your 45 micro card set, and then we'll share. And now we each have that kind of duplicate sealed, and let's build that. People are now doing it more as a kind of micro standard, I think, doing more like 4 ofs constructed sort of thing. But the idea of making these cards and then seeing, okay, the themes I was able to put together in kind of a sealed, half of a sealed pool, or maybe a little closer to 2/3 of, but if you'd like to come do your first wave micro set, my initial prompt is just the word technique. And a bunch of us made sets, including Peter. You made your archery set.
Yeah, it's almost like a set pitch of like, hey, here's my idea for what could be a larger set, but you aren't really constrained in the same way you are with a larger set, so you can get a little bit more creative. Juliet kind of pushed the boundaries of the mechanical boundaries of what you're allowed to do and what would be the consequences if that expanded to a major set. I just went with... I was like, well, my least favorite thing about making cards is arting. So I was just like, what if I pick something so basic that it's extremely easy to art, but you could never make a whole set of it because there's just not that much interesting stuff about it. So I picked archers because I knew I could find a bunch of art on that. And then there was a Beacon episode that talked about, what are all the ways we could express archery and archers and magic? And so I was like, well, let's build off of that. Let's see if we explore some of the ideas that they had in that and put it into a micro set.
Wow.
Awesome. Yeah. So Discord, currently the Discord is the main way to interact with all that. And there's a million people on board. People are talking through their own ideas. If you just want to review some cards, there's a lot of cards to look at. We've also got our design challenge, our monthly challenge. We're about halfway through that now. For May, what was that challenge, Juliet?
So our design challenge for May is May BC. Design an elder. Be an elder giant, an elder dragon, a elder demon, elder angel, elder peasant, elder spider. The sky is the elder leviathan, elder kraken. We could list all the creatures. Elder brushwag. Nevertheless, one of those great old ones. And then our bonus points are ABCs. Use every letter of the alphabet somewhere on the card. The other bonus point is DEF. Give it a defensive keyword. Reach, defender, indestructible, vigilance, or ward.
It seems like Wizards is also working on this challenge because we've gotten like 6 or 7 elders spoiled in the Final Fantasy set.
Sure.
So there's even some new material to look over if you need some inspiration on what an elder could be.
And you can always put Z's and J's in your card name and flavor text. I think that's
if you find an artist from like Poland or
sure. That's a good idea.
You could even come up with a set name and then have that set code include some of the weird letters. There's a lot of ways to sneak letters on there. Find some art.
Okay, I'd be really impressive if somebody can do like a French vanilla.
Ooh,
defensive keyword.
New bonus challenge. Like you use the minimum amount of rules text and still get the alphabet and still feel elder. Yeah, I love this. This is awesome.
I might give that a try.
Alrighty, and that'll be due May 30th, so we can review it for the next month. That's about it for the podcast for the week. We've got the show notes on beaconofcreation.com. Hop on the Discord, like we keep saying, to participate in all this stuff. You guys have anything you want to talk about? Juliet, maybe anything you got like a big stream coming up?
I got a big thing coming up.
Yeah.
I do have a big stream coming up now that you mention it. So we have the Moonshot Network's spring charity stream. This year it's the Moonessance Fair. It's happening Memorial Day weekend. That's Friday, May 23rd, Saturday, May 24th, and Sunday, May 25th. We've got a lot of fun things going on. We've got Hades 2 bingo races that are going to be pretty competitive. We've got Blur Builder. That's a really fun one where there's like a prompt and then people are in different games in the character creator trying to like fulfill the prompt competitively against each other.
Like one person's in Oblivion, one person's in Final Fantasy 14 kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right.
It's really fun. We got a Shrek 2 table read. It's Ren Fair themed. It's gonna be fun. I've got a new block about words that I'm really excited to host a new game show. So yeah, that'll be the 23rd, the 24th, and the 25th, just coming up. It's a charity stream for the charity Advocates for Trans Equality.
Incredible. Love it. Peter, you got anything you want to tell people about?
I fell off the train a little bit last year, making sure I got to the theater on a regular basis. So this year I'm listing out, okay, these are the movies that are coming out this year that I need to see. And one just came out. So I went to see Sinners in theaters. And that's a popular movie. And I think justifiably so. I think I left that movie and I said to my girlfriend, I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen a movie like that. Like, I feel like that is the first type of that movie I've seen. It got me very excited to go back to the movie theater this year. So I highly recommend.
Wow.
Cool. If you need to find any of us, Discord is the main way to do that. I think we're also all on Blue Sky if you want to check those links out. But most of all, I want to thank everyone for listening. You could do your theme music again if you want.
my brain was trying to approximate it, and I got halfway between the Skype ringtone and the opening notes of Usher's "Yeah."
Yeah, I heard that. I heard yeah, and then I heard the Jurassic Park theme music.
I gotta watch that movie.
It's a Rorschach text of muttered music.
Theme by D plays.